बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं हूँ नादिया बशीर, आपकी मेज़बान FM 102.2। सामीन, जैसे कि आपको पता है कि हम माह रमज़ान से गुजर रहे हैं और ये एक बाबरकत महीना है। इसी महीने के लिए हमने आज एक स्पेशल शो जो है वो हम होस्ट करेंगे, जिसमें हम बात करेंगे कि डाइट की और बैलेंस डाइट की स्पेशली, और कैसे हम रमज़ान के महीने में अपना वेट जो है वो गुजार सकते हैं और कैसे उसको मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, और कैसे हम उसको इसको इस्तेमाल करते हुए हम अपनी एनर्जी को भी जो है वो मेंटेन कर सकते हैं। इसी मौजू पर बात करने के लिए आज हमने अपने स्टूडियो में दावत दी है नूर माहिरा बिनते अब्दुल अलम को, जिनका ताल्लुक मलेशिया के इंटरनेशनल इस्लामिक यूनिवर्सिटी से है। रमज़ान जो है एक पावरफुल हमारे लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी है टू रीसेट बोथ स्पिरिचुअली एंड फिजिकली. So, as we practice fasting and self discipline, it is also the ideal time to reassess our eating patterns and nourish our bodies and more mindfully. By choosing a balanced meal, staying hydrated, and avoiding excess, we can transform Ramadan into foundation for sustainable, healthy habits that extend well beyond this month. Samin, we have with us, joining us from all the way from Malaysia. Her name is Noor Amir Binti Abdul Alam. She's a dedicated dietitian and clinical instructor at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. And she's been serving there since 2010, and she's widely recognized for her structured and empowering approach to clinical training, particularly in medical nutrition therapy for non-communicable diseases, surgical and pediatric care. She's very passionate about cultivating a growth mindset that she integrates leadership and confidence building into her teaching practice. Her excellence in education and services has earned her multiple recognition, including faculty level awards and national professional appointments. Ladies, let's begin the show. And I would like to welcome you to my show. And the first question that I would like to ask is that how can Ramadan serve as a reset button for our eating habits, metabolism, and overall lifestyle?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nadia, for the question. Thank you for inviting me to the FM show. So basically, for the first question, how does Ramadan act as a reset button? Okay, so basically, throughout the year for 12 months, our body has been eating a lot. Okay, our body has received too much fuel, too much energy, and usually in our nowadays world, our body receives too much sugar every day. So having one solid month fasting for 10 hours, for 13 hours is actually a good point to reset our body, whereby it switch our body from receiving too much sugar and start burning the fat in our body. Okay, because we know that worldwide, I believe the same in Pakistan as well in Malaysia, that we have issue with obesity and overweight. That meaning that we need to urge our people to slow down with what they eat and reduce their calorie intake and start burning their body fat. I believe Ramadan is a good point whereby we can teach our body to rest and let the fat in the body do all the work. Okay, and as well as it is also apart from burning the fat, Ramadan also is a good point to reset our lifestyle, whereby people always say that I'm always hungry, I always eat emotionally, I'm stressed, I want to eat. But in Ramadan, we still do our work, we still study, but we still also have stress. But we cope our stress by not eating. So I believe in Ramadan, it is a good reset for our lifestyle, whereby if we have stress, if we feel lonely, we don't go for food. We don't go for chocolate in Ramadan. So we still have our own coping mechanism, although we are fasting, and it is not food. Okay, so we should take this point to reflect that we can do something with our lifestyle by not only eating all the way, and which nowadays lead to diabetes, lead to obesity in our world. I think that's for your first question.
Okay. So, what do you think some of the common mistakes that people make during Ramadan that can affect their health and their energy level?
So the common mistake that usually that I found in Malaysia, and when I do some culture search that happening in Pakistan, I find quite similar things that is happening, whereby people will start indulge themselves at iftar. We've been fasting for 10 hours, for 12, 13, 18 hours in some regions. So when we have azan at Maghrib, the people will indulge themselves with food at iftar. They go for high sugar food, they go for high fat food, or even they go for very a high volume, high fluid intake at one time. So that is very wrong because remember, when we do the one of the benefits, one of the fadilat of having a Ramadan fasting is for health of our body. So the fadilat of Ramadan is for us to have the benefits to our body. So if we start to indulge during iftar, we start taking high fat food, high sugar food, then the benefits of Ramadan to our body will be misleading. We will not have the benefits of Ramadan. Other than that, also I can see that when we do our iftar, when we eat our iftar, as I said just now, we go for sugary food, which is sugary dessert, sugary drink, and usually most of our food are high in carbohydrates,
Mhm.
which are our rice, our bread, our flour, our sugar. Um, However, actually, what our body needs when we do iftar is also protein.
Mhm.
So what I can see happening in Malaysia, I don't know whether it's also happening in Pakistan. People usually tend to forget about their protein intake.
Mhm.
So I think those are the common mistakes I can highlight, which is high in calories, high in sugar, as well as low in protein.
Mm. Same things happening in Pakistan also. We tend to go for more of the fried things like I don't know if you heard of our special food like pakoras and samosas and all full of
Pakora,
carbohydrates and
samosa, yes,
yeah,
yes, it's
they
deep
must have been
fried.
exactly. They're all deep fried, so we tend to go for that stuff. So you just suggested that some of the things that we need to make, we need to take in more protein intake instead of the carbohydrates for your aftari. What about sahur time? What sort of meal do you think we should take that would keep us hydrated and that should be able to help us maintain our energy throughout the day also?
Okay, I understand that. So usually when we fasting, we want to sustain our energy from sahur until iftar. So we need to remember what sustain our energy. The one that sustain our energy is when we eat complex carbohydrates.
Mhm.
Complex carbohydrate meaning that if in your country you eat roti, right, bread, paratha, a naan, okay?
Mhm.
So all these roti made from flour. So instead of using refined flour, make sure your bread is prepared with whole wheat flour.
Mhm.
Because when you eat complex carbohydrate, which is whole wheat flour, the carbohydrate will sustain the sugar
Mhm.
throughout the day. If you eat a processed carbohydrate, processed flour, white flour, the sugar from the bread will sustain for you at least until 10 a.m. After that, you will be sluggish, tired, lack of energy, unable to focus. So that is number one. Choose complex carbohydrate. If if the house don't have a whole wheat flour, what you can do is you eat your naan, you eat your paratha with lots of vegetables
Mhm.
at sahur, because all these vegetables will sustain the simple sugar from the bread just now. So it will give steady release of sugar throughout our fasting days. So the vegetables is important to coat with the bread just now. Okay. So
Okay.
and the number three, also make sure to have protein at sahur.
Mhm.
And for hydration, you can of course we drink water, but one of the tips that I can give you is if you drink like your drink, your milk, you can also put in a chia seed, for example.
Mhm.
You infuse chia seed overnight, the chia seed will retain more water, and you drink your usual water with the chia seed, it will preserve more water to your body.
Okay. So, what do you suggest also? How can we break the fast, in a healthy way? And why do you think we should not always rush towards, finishing our meal after iftar?
Okay. So the healthiest way to break the fast is usually I recommend my own patient, my own client is to break fast with at least 1 or 2 dates kurma
Mm.
and then with some water drink and then go for Maghrib prayer first. After Maghrib prayer, maybe after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then we only take our main dish. Like you have your kebab, you have your roti just now. Okay, so why I suggest to split the eating time, small iftar and then main iftar is because when we split our iftar, it helps us better with satiety. Okay, meaning if we one azan maghrib, we eat everything at one time at one moment. Usually, our body, our satiety it takes 20 minutes for the brain to detect.
Okay.
So, because we eat at iftar, we indulge very rapidly. So, sometimes in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, we finish our biryani, for example. Okay.
Mm.
However, the stomach already full, but the brain hasn't detected it yet. Okay.
Okay.
So if we break our fast in small portion first, and then we go for a Maghrib prayer, and then we eat our main course. That helps us in controlling the portion better. Hence, our calorie will not excessive. Okay. So I think that is the better way to do our iftar time now.
Okay. So some of the people they also feel, they get bloated, and they also feel acidity, indigestion after iftar. So what do you think what steps they need to take, or what can be some of the causes, or what are some of the ways that we can prevent indigestion?
Okay. So, bloated, feel lots of windy in our stomach is the number one will happen if we eat rapidly. We
Okay.
eat rapidly too fast. Okay, so meaning that always remember to slow down when we eat. So eat a little bit, go for prayer, and at the main course, eat slowly. Okay, that is number one. And then number two, types of food that we eat that can increase our acidity, indigestion is when the food is high in fat, food that is deep fried, like the one you said, samosa, so
Pakoras.
those the pakoras, yes, those are deep fried, is very high in fat. If you can make samosa in air fryer, if you have air fryer, that is much
Mm.
better. Or if you can bake in oven, grill in oven, that is much better. Okay, so high fat will make your problem with indigestion will become acidity, as well as for those people after iftar, after eating a lot of food, we will become lazy, we will become sleepy, we lay down. The moment
Mm.
we lay down, then the indigestion, the acidity will reflux. Okay, so
Okay.
avoid laying down after
Mhm.
iftar.
Okay. So, how much water do you think? You just covered the how to prevent bloating and indigestion. So, how much do you think water that we need to drink, and how long do you think that we should wait before fasting or having a complete meal, and why is meal timing very important for us?
Okay, so about water intake, fluid intake.
Mhm.
Fluid intake is very important because in your region, in Pakistan, in some years you will fast during different season, right? So you
Mhm.
have summer that is very hot season. So currently you are fasting in which season this
We're
year?
fasting currently in winter. It's winter. It's winter more towards
Winter.
spring. So the temperature is very
Ah,
mild.
oh, so it's very nice this year.
Yeah, it's very mild. It's
All
not
right.
cold, and it's not
Okay.
that hot at all right now. You can, there are some days where we have to wear sweaters also, but we're going through a very nice
Oh,
period.
okay. All right. Okay. So about a fluid intake, usually we suggest to keep your fluid intake at
Uh-huh.
2 to 2.5 liter per day. 2 to 2.5 liter per day. Okay. So how we encourage people to drink water is during breaking the fast during iftar, you may take 1 2 glass of water first. You
Mhm.
don't take one full bottle at one go. You don't
Okay.
take one jug of it at one go, because if you eat too much at one time, actually all those will go out in your urine. It does not
Yeah.
replenish your body. Okay, so at iftar, you take 1 to 2 glass at iftar. And then after Maghrib prayer, after Tarawih prayer, you take another glass. Meaning one glass every 1 hour. Try to aim 1 glass every 1 hour until sahur.
Okay.
So that
So,
those slowly will replenish the fluid in our body rather than 2 jugs at one go.
okay. So basically you're saying we should not act like camels. We should not drink all the, water too much.
Yes, that's not do to our body.
It's not, if we are drinking like 3 to 4 cups while during the iftar time or during the sahur time, it's not helping us at all. No, we just need to break that down and then take it slowly. Okay. So what about people that, do their iftar or sahri with the soft drinks or, fruit juices and energy drinks? Do you think they are healthy for during the Ramadan? And what should people drink instead of that? Like, we have this special drink called 𝐸𝐴, which most of the people that we use here in Pakistan, and it's basically full of sugar. So, do you recommend that also?
Okay. So for drinks, I know people who said I just drink a fruit juice. Right? So it's actually fruit juice or even a lassi. I think lassi is well known at your
Mhm.
country. So
Yes.
it's actually high in sugar. Fruit juice is okay, but I recommend for you to do it at your own. Don't buy in the packet fruit juice, in the bottle fruit juice at the supermarket, or sometimes in the fruit juice at the restaurant, they put a lot of sugar. The fruit juice is okay, but the sugar is not okay, right?
Okay.
So avoid taking high sugar fruit juice. The energy drink, the carbonated drink as well is not good for our body. So just go for the zero sugar fruit juice. Also, you can go for infused water, like some people slice their lemon, slice their cucumber, and put in their drink. You can go for, if you go for lassi, lassi is okay, but avoid the sugar excessively. Because
Mm.
lassi is using yogurt, you put some mango, that is okay. Just the sugar, keep it minimal. It also like milkshake is also good. Also again, control the sugar, reduce the sugar.
Okay, what about some of our, like, I believe that some on our part also we have some traditional foods and sweets, and similarly, you probably will have the same thing in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Do you recommend people to take that in their Ramadan diet? And if you agree with that they can take it, then what is the portion? How should they control the portion?
Okay. So if we look at the Ramadan guideline, especially for diabetes people, we don't encourage, the statement in the guideline is we don't encourage to take sweet dessert for iftar.
Okay.
However, when I'm dealing with my client on the practical side, people always want to have a bit of sweet drinks, a dessert for their iftar. So what I recommend is, number one, keep the date, the kurma only one piece. Okay,
Okay.
sometimes people eat kurma 3 pieces, right? So just keep the kurma date 1 piece,
Mhm.
and then take just one small dessert. One small
Mhm.
dessert, I think like the length of my thumb, that's enough. Only one.
Okay.
Okay. So no other afterwards. So
Mhm.
and go for plain water. Don't go for cordial drinks, sweetened drinks. No. So just one date and then one small cup of a sweet dessert. Usually we are in Malaysia, we our iftar have lots of sweet dessert. So
Mhm.
they like to take it like one whole plate of it.
Mhm.
So just keep it to one.
Okay. Um, ask, from your response, the next question that comes in mind is that most of the people they gain weight during Ramadan rather than losing weight, because we fast for 12 hours or in some country probably 10 hours or so. But instead of losing weight, we're gaining weight. And how do you think that we should maintain our diet, and how can we maintain our weight also after or during Ramadan?
Okay. So I have seen this situation as well, whereby people gaining weight, and when I look back at their practice and I calculated their calorie intake, it is no surprise because when they eat at iftar, from iftar until sahur, they eat a lot within that eating period, and within that they have exceed their calorie intake. So it is not surprise. For example, if we can look at like the milkshake. The milkshake that usually prepared in your Pakistan way, I believe you use milk, and then we use dates, we use lots of nuts, we use dried fruits, and all those mixture in one glass. It looks like simple one glass drink, right? But the calories can go up to 600 calories, which is equivalent to one complete dish of your paratha or your kebab, everything. So if you drink that one glass of 600 calorie milkshake, and then you eat another samosa and paratha and your sandwich, that is another 600 to 700 calorie. That is equivalent to 1,200 calorie at one sitting, which is for your one day enough.
Okay. I would like to talk about now people that have diabetes, or they have hypertension, or they have gastric problems. What dietary precautions do you recommend that they should take during Ramadan?
Okay. So for diabetes, my number one note for them is never skip sahur, because many of my patients, when they skip sahur, they will become hypoglycemia. Their blood sugar will drop very low, and that is very, very dangerous. That is for diabetes. And another one for diabetes people is always check for your blood glucose regularly while you are fasting. You need to know when you should break your fast. Don't force yourself to complete the fast if your blood sugar is uncontrolled. You need to spoken to your doctor. Okay, so the low blood sugar is less than or equal to 4. Then you need to start break your fast. 3.9, 3.6, 3.0, that is very dangerous. And for a blood glucose more than 60, then you also need to break your fast, because that is very high and it can make your body in diabetes ketoacidosis state. Okay, so always check your blood glucose while you are fasting. Okay, so that is number one for diabetes. For hypertension, always take care of your salt intake, your salt sodium intake. So I believe when we do our iftar, there are food that is very salty. You have to be careful. Watch out for your salt intake. And also fat intake, all the deep fried food. When we eat lots of fat, our blood vessel will easily clot and the blood pressure will go up. So be careful with the fat intake. Fat intake can come from deep fried. Fat intake can come from if you use ghee in cooking. It can come from the fat from the meat, the white part of the meat. That is fat. Those are the things that can block our blood vessel. Okay, and for gastric, last one is for gastric. Avoid spicy food, avoid lying down because it can trigger reflux, and you must take sahur with complex carbohydrate and have lots of vegetable as well, so that your stomach will be much comfortable.
Okay, so as we're moving towards the end of the program, I would like you, to give a take-home message to the people that are out there listening to us, that how, ranging from children to adults, what steps or what precautions they need to take during Ramadan to maintain their healthy diet, rather a healthy balanced diet, and as well as to maintain their weight also. What message would you like to give to them?
Okay, so when I'm preparing to deliver notes for people in Pakistan, and I studied Pakistan nutritional intake, which I can see some similarities with Malaysian, whereby both countries have excessive in calories and also inadequate in micronutrients. particularly iron intake and also vitamin intake. Hence, having said with this factor, my take-home message for all the listeners is always cut down your sugar because we are the nation in obese category. Also in Malaysia, we are also in the obese category. So always watch out for your sugar intake. If you can change your deep fried method, always change to less oil cooking method. Okay, and for iron intake, make sure every meal you must have protein. Okay, proteins you can have from animal sources, which is the chicken, the meat, or you can have from your lentils, your chickpeas, your dal. Okay, so those can give protein and also can give iron to you. So make sure when your gravy for your roti, put some dal, put some chickpeas. That can help your protein intake if you don't have the animal sources. And for the vitamin and minerals, always have fruits and vegetables. I believe living in Pakistan, you have all those different seasons. Aim for a seasonal fruit, aim for seasonal vegetables. That is much economical for you. Always have fruits and vegetables. I think that is my take home message, Dr. Nadia.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Malaysia. I know, you're 3 hours ahead of us and probably it's near to your Iftar time, so I won't take your time too much. Thank you so much for joining us and I really appreciate your time and effort. सामीन, मैं उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आपके लिए ये प्रोग्राम जो है वो मुफीद साबित होगा। अगले हफ्ते हम फिर मिलेंगे एक नए मौजू के साथ, एक नए मेहमान के साथ। तब तक मुझे इजाज़त दीजिए। अल्लाह आपका हामी और नासिर हो। अल्लाह हाफिज़।